Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm super excited. Well, actually, I changed my mind. I'm not super excited to be making this video. I've been avoiding this one, but yeah, I promised you guys a part 2 of the Haunted series. This is the story that it really frightens me. It even frightens me still now, and yeah. So this is basically my series about things that have happened to myself with being haunted or with like spirits and things like that. I am actually going to be making a part 3, and we are going to have my first guest on the channel to talk about her haunted experience, and then I'm maybe gonna make more, but we're gonna go from there. We're just gonna see how it goes. I really do enjoy talking about this topic, just not enjoy filming them in the middle of the night. So yeah, it's not a vibe, it's nighttime. Everywhere's pitch black. I've got my ring light on to make this bright, and I'm talking about being haunted. Pretty much the scariest haunting of my life. And yeah, sure, let's just get into it. I was in high school when I was experiencing this. Let me just set the scene. So we've just moved into this new house. Me, my mum and my sister. My mum was the heaviest sleeper. Like, it's frustrating and like so annoying how heavy of a sleeper she was, because like you could literally shake her and be like, mom, 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 and she just won't wake up. She'd just be like snoring and just like, nah, I'm asleep. So that was a big part of how scary it was, because I knew I couldn't, if my mum was asleep, I wouldn't be able to wake her up. So yeah, that was like, that amplified the fear, I guess. And then yeah, so we just moved into this house. I didn't like it straight away. I didn't like it. I got a bad feeling from it. It just felt really unhomely and really eerie and really unclean. But we will get to that in a different part, because it actually wasn't like unclean as I thought. It was just that how I can describe it is, have you ever watched Stranger Things? And if you haven't, it's basically where this little boy kind of goes into the upside down world. So it's like everything looks the exact same. We could be in this room, I could be sitting on this chair right now, but it just looks like it's the same place, but it looks like dark and dingy and like kind of like cold, and just it's the same place, but it's a different vibration. So it was really, that house to me felt really like, have you ever been in a house where it's like damp and things like that, and it smells weird and everything seems really dark and dingy, and you clean it but it doesn't make a difference? That's what I was seeing, that's what I was experiencing. But yeah, like my mum always would keep everywhere super clean, but it just never, for me, it just never felt clean, and I could not understand it. But yeah, okay, so the house had wood, like so much wood. I love wood. I have like wooden furniture. I really enjoy being around like wood in my home. It feels homely to me. But this was a different wood. It was like wood like on the walls, like halfway up, and it was really old and like not a nice old wood. Like, all my days, I love old furniture and like old things, but it was just again, it's probably because I viewed it differently and I had a different experience with it. It just made it feel like a haunted house. In my room, I had the smallest room. It wasn't like a box room. Like in the UK we have like a box room which is above our stairs and it makes the room tiny. It was bigger than that. It was just but it was the smallest room. And in my room there was this huge wooden cabinet from the same wood that was just covering the house. Everything seemed to have wood on it and I don't know why. Because like we don't live in houses like that. Like it's just not, it's not a thing to have wood go like halfway up your wall and then all the way down all around the house. It's just creepy. Anyways, in my room there was a wooden cabinet and it was already built in with the same wood. It was just super old. And I used to be petrified of that wooden cabinet. That wooden cabinet gave me the chills. And I'm getting chills now talking about it. Oh, like, it literally makes me feel emotional talking about this story. The cabinet used to freak me out. I used to be scared to sleep in there on my own. I used to cry and want to stay with my mum, which I actually did quite a lot. I used to sleep with her quite a lot because I was always frightened. Even before this house, I had experiences in other houses where I would also be frightened and I would see things and it would frighten me. So my mum was kind of just like, oh, you know, it's just a dream. It's just, you know, it's just your imagination. Or she didn't believe me. Nobody believed me. They just assumed I was a kid that was having nightmares. So in this house, I'm crying. I don't like this wooden thing in my room. It frightens me. The thought of like, it felt like someone was watching me from that cabinet. It felt like there was like someone peeking out, even though it was completely, like there was little doors on the front and then once it's closed, it's closed. If you was inside, you won't be able to see from the outside. So if you opened, because it went like, say like the whole bottom of this screen was this cabinet and the little doors were like here. If you open these doors and then look to the side, like it would just be pitch black and that used to freak me out. So my mum stored some of my things in there and then I would be too frightened to ever get them out because I didn't want to touch the cabinet. Everything just freaked me out about the cabinet. So in the end, I like convinced my mum that we could destroy this cabinet, we could knock it down. I used to get like bad nightmares in there. I used to get like I used to just be terrified. Like the terror going into that room used to make me feel sick, especially near that cabinet. It used to honestly make me feel ill, that I felt so ill because I was so frightened. In the end, my mum finally let me knock it down. Worst thing, because it made it worse. It just seemed to really rile it up, whatever the heck that was. It peed it off. It must have used to be like his little home or something, I don't know. Like, that's not cool. So you can see I'm like, this is really bad posture. This is not very good manifesting energy because I am so like body language, so protecting myself right now. I need to just lighten up a little bit. It's not happening anymore. So anyways, we knocked down the cabinet. I felt so much better, like just being able to see the corners of that room and that part of the room being open, and I knew that, you know, I couldn't see anything looking back at me, made me feel so much better. But then things started happening. My health started to deteriorate, as in I started to get just really like crappy energy. I was really down in myself. I wouldn't say at that point, I wouldn't say depressed. I was just really down. My mum's health actually started to deteriorate quite quickly. which I think it was related to something else, but to me, like looking back now, that house was terrible. So anyways, so yeah, I actually started to get an eating disorder, which I just did not want to eat. I felt like I was just really overweight, and how I was viewing myself was different to how I was. I was actually a lot slimmer than I thought I was, but it was just my mind. Everything was just so low and so down, and you know, we started arguing as sisters as well. Me and my sister started arguing, and then me and my mum would argue, and just everything just seemed so heavy and just and that was really unusual. Like, we would never really argue as a family. It wasn't normal. And then basically things kept happening more where my things would go missing, but only ever my things. It would always go missing, and just things that I would like, right, okay, I know that is there, and then it would just disappear. It would go, and there was no explanation. It had gone. I don't know where it had gone. It had gone, and it started happening more and more frequently. I still was getting frightened in that room. I still just knew that there was something there. The nightmares were getting terrible, terrible, terrible. I just got chills because I seen what I seen then. So my room had one little window, and as my eyes are filling up, as you look out of that window, it was like facing a row of houses, and it was the back end of their houses, so their bedroom windows were facing our houses. So as I looked out of my window at night, because everything, like, my room was really small, so you'd only really be by the window or by the door to leave. So if I would be sitting on my bed and I'd look out the window, there'd be a black figure in one of the other windows looking out at me, but their curtains were closed. And I remember, like, it makes me feel sick thinking about it. I remember the curtains being closed behind this black figure. So if the curtains were just closed normally, it'd be in front of it and it would be in the room, but it was closed behind it. And you could see the curtains, but you could see this black figure just like staring into my window. It was freaky. It was frightening. And I just assumed it was that neighbour that just maybe had mental health issues. I didn't really know much about that at that age. I just assumed that, it was just someone that was unwell and just liked to stare out the window. But yeah, every night my belly's rumbling. Every night it used to be there, and it used to just stare at me. And sometimes if I was with my friends and I was a little bit more brave, I would stare back and be like, are you gonna move? Are you gonna say something? And sometimes it would move a little bit, but it would stay there. And now looking back, I don't think that was a human. I think it was a spirit, because of the energy. Now I'm able to like channel, and I trust my intuition more now. Looking back, I would say 99% that was a spirit. And I wouldn't even say spirit, I would say like entity. Yeah. So that used to happen. So you can imagine being in this just really low vibrational place. My health was going, I'm feeling really down. I started skipping school, which I just never, ever, 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 ever in a million years would have done. I started to just really not enjoy school, and everything was just getting really bad at that time. Yeah, so basically then things started to progress and get worse and worse, and physical things started to happen, as in not like just my things going missing constantly and causing arguments, like, between, you can imagine sisters, and like you know, your parents arguing like, well, you must have moved it, like, where is my stuff? You know, things used to always of mine go missing. But I used to sleepwalk, and I used to like hide my mum's things down the side of the bed when I was sleepwalking in a previous house. So my mum would say it's just you sleepwalking, but then it wouldn't even be that, because it would be things like I would put my things on the side, go to school and come back and they'd be gone. Whereas my sister was in school, my mum was in work, like everyone was out of the house and my things would still be gone. So it wasn't just, I couldn't put it down to me sleepwalking, because it wasn't at night. Some things would happen at night and some things would be in the day too. So we can't really say just sleepwalking. Yeah, so then moving on, I started to hear noises at night. Everything was worse at night. I started to try and get my friend to stay over as much as possible because I was so frightened of being on my own. And at night, it felt like I was so scared to go on. It felt like something was outside of my door, and I was so scared to go out of my door and then across the landing a tiny little bit to my mum's door and try and wake her up in case she wouldn't wake up because she was such a heavy sleeper. So it was either or wait it out until morning or be scared because my mum's really not waking up and I've already ran past it, so whatever it is, it might get me. And I wasn't prepared to do that. I would literally just be in terror, and I didn't even want to like put my head under the covers, because I remember once I put my head under the covers because I could hear footsteps in my room and like banging and like scuffling of things in my room, and I put my head under the covers, but then I was too frightened to get my head out of the covers because I was like, oh my god, no, it's going to be like one of them movies where it's going to be like in front of my face. So I never did that again because I was too frightened. So if I'd hear anything, I would literally just sit and like in the corner of my room in bed with my covers like this, and I'm like, well, I'm not sleeping and I ain't putting my head under the covers because then I'm scared something's going to pop into my face. But then also I'm not going across the hall to go and get my mum because she might not wake up and it's too scary. So yeah, things started happening as in like noises, and like it sounded like you know, like if we've got laminate flooring and we had like wooden floor in there, so if you moved something across the floor you could hear like the like, and that's what it sounded like bags or something like moving across the floor, or just things, just sounds, but I couldn't see anything. It was just sounds, like footsteps but not very clear footsteps, and like whispering, but then I'd be like, is that my brain playing tricks on me? Like, is this really happening? Like, it was really intense, and I thought that was just as bad as it could get. But then it started to get even freaking worse. So it got to the point where I was just hysterical. I didn't want to go to sleep anymore. I didn't want to stay in my room. Everything was just so frightening. Every single night, it got to the point where every single night I could hear like defined footsteps, not just like before where it was a little bit like, what, did that really happen? You know, I could hear like stomp, 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 like running up the stairs, running down the hallway. We only had a little hallway, but running down the hallway. My door is at the end, and it would run and stop by my door every freaking night. All night, that's all I could hear, and it would never come into my room. It's like it was just tormenting me because it would frighten me. But we didn't have carpet on our stairs, we'd not even long been living there, and it would just run up them like wooden steps up down the hallway and then stop. Sometimes my handle would, like, you could hear my handle a little bit, but then it wouldn't go further than that. But every single, my logical brain didn't think, well, it's never gone further than that, you're safe. My logical brain was thinking, I'm gonna die, something's gonna happen to me, I'm gonna be eaten by a ghost, I don't know, like, this is frightening, my mum just still doesn't believe me, what am I gonna do? She's never gonna wake up, I can't run past that thing that's running outside my room because mum's not gonna wake up, like, How is nobody hearing this? I don't understand. I just didn't get it. So that was happening, and that was just the I could, everything smell, like there was like this smell, like, I don't know, I could walk in a house and I guarantee I know if it's haunted if I can smell it, because it smells like that, like musky, like damp, like just, I don't know how to describe it. The only thing that I relate to so freaking much is Stranger Things, because everything is the same. Everything is like, there's a chair, like there's a bed, like everything is the same, but it's different. It's so different, and it was so frightening. It was feeding off my fear. And now it really irritates me to think that I didn't know better then, but now all my days I know better. Like, I would not be having any of that right now. But anyways, I was so frightened, and my health continued to get worse. I was like I looked so poorly because I was so skinny, and yeah, it was just a really unhealthy habit I had. It was terrible. So you can imagine how crappy I feel. I'm not getting any sleep. Like, I'm not doing well in school. My mum's health continued to get worse, and then banging started to happen all through the night. It wasn't just the running up the stairs, it just kept getting worse, and then banging would happen in my bedroom. I had the boiler, so it had like an airing cupboard to like close the door, and banging on that door. It doesn't go anywhere, it's in my room, it's just a boiler, but they would be banging on the door. And it would just really terrify me. Like, it's not even just like, oh, I'm a bit scared. Like, I literally physically felt so poorly because I was so tired of being scared all the time. It was horrible. And then I remember one day, it was an old, the light switches was like, it came out and then you had to physically like do this and then do this. It wasn't just like one you press. And I remember laying on my bed with my sister and saying like, I'm so, like, I was just sick of it. I was so sick of it. And then the light started flickering, and I was just so happy that somebody else seen and understood. My sister definitely believed it anyway, but my mum didn't. But yeah, the light started flickering, and I was like, oh my god, oh my days, it's happening. My mum was upstairs, so we shouted my mum and it stopped. She came in and we was like, the light was just flickering, and then she was like, oh, it's probably just faulty electrics, it's not, stop being scared, like, always saying this. And then as she was in there, it started flickering again, but she turned because she was right next to the light switch, because she had only just walked in. And she turned, and the thing was actually being like lifted up and down, and then she was like, oh, that's weird, isn't it? Well, it's definitely the electrics. And I was just like nothing we say you're gonna believe. Like, it's just not gonna happen. One day downstairs, most of it was in my room. One day downstairs, we was sat on the sofa, and then next minute the kettle was boiled in the kitchen, and my mum was just like, well, it, you know, someone must have pressed it. So then in the end, because that started to happen often, we took the plug out, and we was like, no, it's not, like, look, we took the plug out and it still ended up boiling. We went and held it and it was hot. So things were just happening so often, to the point where I wanted proof. I wanted to show my mum, look, I am not being like silly. I am really experiencing all of this. And my friend at the time, she used to stay quite often because I was so frightened of being on my own, and she also lived in a house which would often experience kind of like haunted things. but it wasn't really scary at her house. So she was fine staying at my house. She was just like, yeah, it's fine. And we went to her mum and borrowed her camcorder. It was New Year's Eve, so there was like a party that we went to. We set up the camcorder. I put talc everywhere all over the floor to see if it had been moved. We did all sorts of weird things just to see if like something was moved when we got back, or if the camcorder picked up on something when we got back. My mum and my sister was going out together to a party, and bearing in mind my mum never drank ever, very rare, and me and my friend went out to this party. We had to be back by a certain time, like 12 I think it was, because like we was allowed to stay out later because it was New Year's Eve. My mum would never let me stay out till 12 ever. But yeah, this night we was allowed, and we was meant to meet back at the house together. Yeah, so turns out my friend that I was with, her mum was with my mum at this party. Like, it was kind of like just a singing karaoke thing. My sister enjoys singing, so they went together, and then my mum got drunk in this party, which she would just never ever do. And you know what, actually I might freaking channel my mum now, because she's in spirit. I might channel my mum and get her opinion on this, what happened, and now she would believe me. But yeah, I think it was my friend's mum. Something just happened at the party, and she just, all of a sudden, she sat there watching the karaoke people singing, and all of a sudden she starts to be in a lot of pain. And then on her, she realised, she was like, her back is hurting. It's like, it's kind of like burning a little bit. And then she got someone to check her back, and she'd been, oh, my hair, it just fell out. I thought someone was touching my neck because my hair moved. I was like, oh. But yeah, okay, breathe. So yeah, she got someone to check her back, and she'd looked, and she had been scratched right down her back, and she was complaining because it was really hurting. And then at the same time, things were happening in the house that we caught on tape, and I'm literally like, my hairs are standing up talking about it. I don't know if you can see how goosebumps and my hairs are standing up because it's freaky. Okay, so me and my friend get back from the party. My mum is late with my sister because she got drunk, and then all this commotion happened with my mum's friend, and she got scratched, so they was a bit late because of that. How annoying, because then we got back to the house and they weren't there, and my mum would literally not even let me stay out till 9 most of the time. So it was a miracle we got to go to a party and stay out late, and then she was late. Like, seriously, when we're stuck in that stupid house together. So we realised that they weren't there yet. We was ringing my sister. She told us about this commotion, like they were running a bit late, whatever. So we literally was like, we pissed it off by putting all that shit up, and now we're gonna go in on our own. Like, this is not fun. So we decided we're not sleeping in my room. We're gonna go and sleep in my mum's room because we're too frightened. Like, my room was the worst room. So I've missed the part, but I'll go back to that in a minute. So we put our coats on the banister, run up the stairs, run into my mum's room, and then we're cuddled up in my mum's huge bed, like, nothing ever happens in here, it's fine. Then we realised my friend's phone was ringing, but we left it downstairs in her coat pocket, and no way am I going out to go and get that phone. It's not happening. My phone's with me, we don't need it. So cut to the chase, we went the next day in the morning. We checked her phone, and her phone had been answered, so someone rang her somebody answered the phone and was on the phone for a number of minutes and then put it down, and I'm literally getting goosebumps again, and her phone was downstairs and there was no one in the house. And then we was like, right, okay, we need to go and watch this camcorder now. So there was no visual footage on the camcorder. I think there was orbs and things, but like no, you couldn't see much more than an orb. I don't even think there was many orbs on there either, to be honest. Nothing was moved in the room, none of the talc was moved, and it was well annoying cleaning that up as well. Yeah, none of the boogie traps were moved or set off, which I was pretty annoyed about. But then when we turned the volume up on the camcorder, you could hear the exact thing I could hear with the footsteps running up the stairs numerous of times, and like you could hear it as clear as day running across the hall and then rattling on my door. You could hear it all, and I started to cry. I got really emotional, and I couldn't even believe it. And it felt more scary that it was like you could hear it and everyone else could hear it, but also it felt more freeing because I was like, it's fine, like my mum's definitely going to believe this. So we went and showed my mum. My mum got actually a little bit upset, not properly upset, but a little bit upset, and was like, oh my god, I'm sorry for not believing you, like wow. So yeah, she believed me after that. Just going back a week or so, I forgot to mention this part, but yeah, so my granny is she's very in touch with her inner knowing, her intuition, her channeling abilities and things like that. She's very in touch with it, and she basically she knew what was happening, and I'd not told her, but she just knew. And she turned up at the house with these bag of like things for me to put in my room, and there was like loads of crosses, loads of like prayer beads, and just all spiritual and like things to protect me. One of the crosses was like a pottery cross that you could hang on your wall, and I put that in the room with the boiler in the little tiny cupboard, and I closed the door and I put it on I hung it on the door and then closed it so it was on the inside, because that used to, you know, a lot of banging from there, and that used to frighten me. I put everything else all around my room, and that night was like, oh, it was a horrible night. It wasn't very nice. A lot of banging was happening, a lot of shaking of things, like the door, the light switch was going off, the running up the stairs, just crashing of things. And then I heard this huge like crash, but it was like a different crash, like not like a bang, it was like a smash. And I just knew instantly it's that cross, and it had hit the cross. I'm literally getting like goosebumps. It hit the cross off the door. I was too frightened to open it until the morning. I opened it in the morning and the cross was on the floor, smashed, and that freaked me out the most. I think that scared me so much because it was kind of like, this is my safety. The cross is obviously symbolising you're safe and you're protected, and for that to smash freaked me out. It freaked me out so much. That was like a moment where I was like, I don't feel safe anymore. Like I didn't anyway, but like to feel that unsafe, that freaked me out. That like was just like, no. And I think that's why we decided to try and get proof to show my mum, because it was just unbearable. Like, it just got too bad. But yeah, that was my story. I moved out after that. very soon after that anyway because of other problems. But yeah, that was my haunted part 2 story. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed just how relaxed I kind of tried to set it rather than scripting it and read it off a script, because I don't really feel genuine in that way. I enjoy kind of being like, what did that say? Or like, hang on, let me think. Like, I'd rather just be more genuine and rather than, yeah, kind of reading off a script. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, then please give it a thumbs up, and also comment below if you want to see part 3 and maybe even 4. I have some funny ones to tell you, even though it's not really funny because it's still haunted, but like, I don't know, I'm over it. So I feel like nothing is scarier than that story, even though like I've been like actually like moved and things like that, but like for me nothing feels scarier than that story because I was just so young. And yeah, I just have so many other haunted stories to tell you. Some of them are a lot shorter, so I might put a few in one video, I'm not sure. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you want to see a part 3 and 4. And I hope you enjoyed it, so make sure you subscribe, and yeah, just join the community. So I will see you guys in my next video.